Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James. Channel that brings you your team every single day. Come rain, come shine, come snow, come whatever. Got to say, absolutely love this banner from the Union Bears at the semi-final yesterday against Motherwell. Park & Co. Time to go. Absolutely 100% agree with this banner. The sooner that Graham Park and Douglas Park are gone from this club, the better. So well done to the Union Bears, bringing attention to the fact that the mismanagement of this club is just not good enough and is just unacceptable for this club. Right, we're going to talk. We've got a few things to talk about. Obviously, yesterday's game. We're going to just have a brief look at that. Obviously, we did the main reaction video yesterday. We're also going to talk a little bit about how I believe that Clement can actually save his job. Now, before you kind of ring the funny farm on me and kind of say that you've lost the plot, Owen, I want to explain to you how he can save his job. Now, yes, it's going to be very hard to do that. Yes, it is going to be, a demanding situation to save his job because I think, the large percentage of the fan base has already turned against him and there's a very negative feeling about what he's doing, how he's doing it, the style of football that we play and the results that we're getting. And certainly, yesterday, the first half performance against Motherwell was absolutely, completely and utterly pathetic. It genuinely was. So look, we've obviously got to, obviously step up on that. We've got to improve that. We've got to do things to sort of move this team forward. And we will talk a little bit about that. Now, as for yesterday's game, just a sort of brief mention of that recap of the game, I think, first half, I think it's genuine that we were absolutely shocking, just genuinely appalling. So bad. Whereas I think, second half, after the 67th minute, there was a pickup. And I think, obviously, taking off James Tavernier, Cyril Dessers certainly helped that occasion to happen because I think, in those two, you're playing two men down. Dessers genuinely is one of the worst centre forwards I've ever seen play the game of football. And James Tavernier, like I said on yesterday's video, it's excuse me, it's almost sad to see a player decline in the way that he's declined. I mean, obviously, we saw as well yesterday Jack Butland giving the captain an absolute bollocking, for the fact that on the Motherwell goal, he completely, is so passive. He doesn't shut down the guy crossing the ball. He just basically allows the guy the freedom of Hampden to cross the ball into the box. And there's James Tavernier obviously trying to argue with Jack Butland, saying, it's not my fault, it's someone else's fault. In true James Tavernier fashion. But I thought Tav yesterday was an absolute disgrace. I thought he was absolutely useless, as per usual. I think, obviously the redeeming points of yesterday, like I mentioned on the video yesterday, Nicholas Raskan and Connor Barron were very good. Danilo, I thought, was excellent when he came on. His movement was first class. And look, those of you who doubt him, go back and watch the Bayrami goal and watch the run he makes. The run he makes takes four players out of the game. It really does. And it makes space for Bayrami to score that goal. It was absolutely excellent. His movement, his presence up the top was just light years ahead of whatever Cyril Dessers offers. Dessers, like I said, I've said on previous videos, he's not good enough to play for the Dog and Duck, let alone Rangers. So I thought Dujon Sterling did very well when he came on. I thought Bayrami was good. I thought Tierney was good. Barron and Raskin, as like I said, were very, very good as well. And they were the positives to take from the game. And there were positives to take from what was overall a pretty pathetic performance by Rangers. And certainly not a performance that's going to put any fear into Celtic ahead of the final, the League Cup final. I certainly fear for us going into that final. If they play as they did against Aberdeen and we play as we did against Motherwell, you could certainly see Celtic racking up a cricket score. But look, Clement needs to do something that he hasn't done all season. He really has not demonstrated a kind of ability to learn from his mistakes. Look, as humans, as people, we make mistakes. We all make mistakes, right? We are all guilty. We are fallible. That's what we are. We all make, misjudgments. We all have skeletons in our past. We all do things wrong. That's just us. That's what we are, And Clement is no different. He has made mistakes and he has done things wrong in his time at Rangers. And I think, he will admit that. If he actually looks back with a kind of level head and he looks back with a reason kind of inference kind of mind, he will see that there's mistakes that have been made. But it takes someone with courage. It takes someone with a bit of kind of, I don't know, just the ability to kind of look at in an analytical way at what you've done and say, well, look, I've done this and it hasn't worked. And it hasn't worked well. It's kind of been pretty bad, actually. And it's kind of led me to getting into a bit of trouble, or it led to me not having been successful in what I'm trying to do. So I think, he's got to sit back and he's got to do that. Now, look, I think, and I think I echo what a lot of the podcasts have been saying sort of post game yesterday, is that if you actually go back and look at the team that finished the game yesterday, how Rangers finished that game yesterday, with obviously Managerial on, with Sterling on, with Danilo on, with Diamande on. I thought that the improvement was actually quite remarkable. The fact that we were a better, I'm not saying it was fantastic. I'm not for 100% going to sit here and tell you that the way we finished the game from the 67th minute onwards was perfect football, that it was prime Barca or prime Ajax or prime Real Madrid. It certainly wasn't any of those things. And yes, there is still room for improvement. And yes, that victory yesterday did, to some degree, paper over some rather Grand Canyon-sized cracks that are in this squad and in this team. But overall, the performance was positive from certain individuals, and in the way they came in and the way they moved the team forward. As I mentioned on the video yesterday, I thought Raskin and Barron were absolutely fantastic. I mean, Connor Barron, for me, just epitomises everything we want from a Rangers player. I mean, he shows heart, he shows fight, he shows battle. The guy puts in so much. He really does. And, the effort that this lad puts in is first class. And I think if everybody on the team put in the same effort and the same desire and the same heart as Connor Barron, we'd probably be 9 points clear at the top of the league by now, and certainly not behind in the league. And I think Raskin as well, or Raskin, obviously depending on how you term it, I've heard him pronounced both ways. I think he has come back in and he's been absolutely excellent. He's put the legs into midfield. He's kind of found a role in that sixth role. He's played the ball very well. He's used the ball very well. Overall, he's been a very talented footballer. I think he's done very well. I think Cheney's done well. Bayrami's done well. Diamande's done well in this game today. So, look, there are positives. There are positives, even from the negatives. Now, look, I'm echoing, I think, what Adam Thornton said, what CJ Novo said, what Hart and Hand have said, what Four Lads have said. And they've all kind of said the same thing. If we feel the team that we finished the game with in our next domestic game. Now, we can't use the same team on Thursday against Olympiacos because of the fact that obviously Danilo and Hadji and players like that are obviously not in the European squad. So obviously Danilo can't play on Thursday, but he can play obviously Sunday. Now, look, for me on Thursday, this is how I would go into the game on Thursday. This is what I would do. And like I said, Danilo can't play because of that ridiculous decision not to put him in the European squad. But I'm really hoping that Philippe Clement starts to learn a lesson. And, he can make life so much easier on himself. And he can really save himself a whole lot of hassle and a whole lot of anti-feeling towards him if he just makes some of the right decisions. Now, if on Thursday, in Olympiacos, in Piraeus, we see a team featuring James Tavernier and Cyril Dessers again, we'll all just sit there and say, he's learned nothing. He's learned absolutely nothing from that first half and from that first dire 67 minutes. He really hasn't. James Tavernier yesterday was absolutely woeful. He was genuinely woeful. I think I gave him 2 or 3 out of 1 or something out of 10. I gave him a really low grade out of 10 yesterday because he was genuinely that bad. Dujon Sterling, for me, has to start at right back on Thursday. He genuinely must start there. There was just a moment in the second half where, he follows the Motherwell player back and he tracks back, he breaks up the attack, and he stops them from getting in on the right-hand side. And it was just like, Jesus Christ, a right back can honestly do that? And it was just kind of revolutionary. And look, I know Dujon is useful in a number of positions. I know he can play central defensive midfield. I know he can play right wing, left wing, CDM, and all those roles. But the guy is a right back by trade. That's what he does. That's what he was bought for. So for me, put Dujon in at right back. It just makes so much sense. And I think putting Tav back in there makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Give the armband to Jack Butland. Let him captain the team. He showed leadership yesterday. Just get rid of James Tavernier, for God's sake. Just see him for what he is. He's a busted flush. He's failed. He's done. He's finished. It's the end of his career. It is the end for him. It really genuinely is. I would go with Cass and Suter in central defence. I thought Cass was excellent again when he came on. And he looks a top player. And I think it was really interesting as well to see Cass come on, because what does that say to Proper? What does that say to Robin Proper? The fact you're a centre-back sitting on the bench, you want to take Balogun off. Cass is essentially a full-back by trade, yet you bring him on ahead of Robin Proper. Does that say that Proper is now fourth choice? He is now way down the pecking order behind Cass, behind Suter, behind Balogun? Probably does. I think his days are certainly numbered. Hefte plays at left back because obviously Ridvan is not fit. I'd actually put Ridvan in. I thought Hefte wasn't great yesterday, if I'm being honest. I'd put Ridvan in if he was fit. I do like Ridvan. Raskin and Barron have got to start. Dio as well in midfield. Cheney right, Bayrami left. And I'd put Hamza up front. I really would, because Dessers is so fucking bad. He is just so bad. The man is an absolute embarrassment of a footballer. And then on Sunday, I'd play Danilo obviously up front instead of Hamza. I just think, just don't even put Dessers on from the start. Put him on the bench, let him come off the bench for the last 15, 20 minutes, but please don't play him again. I mean, the guy is just an absolute busted flush. He genuinely is one of the worst strikers I have ever seen play the game. And like I said, yeah, get Danilo in there on Sunday when we can play him, because obviously, like I say, he's not in the Europa League squad, so we can't use him against Olympiacos, but we can use him on Sunday. We can use him in the league. And look, I know that Clement is going to say, well, we've got to be careful with his fitness. We've got to be careful in how we bring him back. But even if you get like 60 minutes out of him, 65 minutes out of him, it's still positive. He is so much better than Cyril Dessers. Just like I said, look at his movement. Look at the way look at the way the team improved going forward the moment he came onto the park. It was remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. The fact that he made such an improvement in the team, and the team looked better with him up the top, because Dessers can't hold the ball up. I think Johnny McFarlane got it right. Cyril Dessers, if he's not failing to hold the ball up, missing open goals, and that is just genuinely shit. I mean, I've watched that about 5 times now, and it gets worse every time you watch it. Falling on his arse, moaning, or being offside, I don't actually know what he does for Rangers. And look, I don't usually agree with Johnny McFarlane. I don't really like the guy, but I actually agree with him on this one. Dessers is just an offside machine. That's all he is. He's offside, or he's on his arse moaning, or he's missing chances. He just genuinely is done. He's done at Rangers. And I think, the fact we turned down 6 million from Atlanta United is just an absolute joke. I think we should have forced him out, made him go, just done something, I don't know, shoved him in a suitcase or something. I've just got rid of him. But for me, Clement has got to learn. If Clement's going to show that he's got some flexibility, that he's got some adaptability, that he actually wants to succeed here, he's got to show that he's learning, he's moving forward, he's developing. Because if he doesn't, if he goes back to what doesn't work, he's just showing himself as intransigent, inflexible, and just genuinely not good enough. He needs to ensure that he moves forward. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts ahead of Thursday, after yesterday, and obviously in terms of team selection. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know your views. I'd love to hear what you've got to say. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, smash the sub, smash the like, drop a comment, drop a share, all that great stuff, guys. Thank you for watching. And remember always, we are the people.